Radio Free Skaro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 757. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
I think there's a Boeing 757 at one point.
Yeah.
I think there is. Yeah.
All the way up to 787 at least.
Oh, is that the big one with the little bump on the head? It kind of looks like one of those iguanodons or something like that, dinosaurs and stuff, because it's like for extra.
I don't know.
Here is a thread of airplanes as dinosaurs, which perhaps they all are, actually. I don't know.
I hate those threads.
I know.
Incoming, a thread of Dumbledore as Snape. I don't care. Shut up. Shut up, Twitter.
Yeah.
That's just social media. Don't pick on
is.
Twitter. It didn't hurt
Here's
you.
some breakfast cereal as Joe Biden's congressional career. Ugh. Is an AI picking this stuff out?
Oh, we started early with Warren. I'm trying to find a day. Like we usually record these in mornings, and I'm as I think about this over the course of the history of this podcast. We are now in our basically 15th year because the beginning isn't it 14 and then you're 15. Is that maybe all the time that Warren has been snippy and acerbic is because we record these in the morning. His time.
Yes, but also Chris just lays out that delicious steak, and I have to.
Well, I mean, there's delicious
hungry
steak.
dog.
There's delicious. You are a definite carnivore when it comes to delicious steak that annoys you. Just like give me that. I'm gonna eat it. It's fine. I'm annoyed.
It's got bones. It's cutting my insides. I don't care.
I don't care. Give me the freshest steak. I gotta complain about something.
I'm gonna try that.
Well,
I'm
maybe that,
gonna try out that theory. Right. Warren, can I tell you why the McCoy era is the best ever?
No, you may not.
I want to, we'll bring it up. First off, okay, let's do this before I forget, because I will forget. Power of the Daleks, episodes 1 and 2, our commentary is on this episode. For those that sometimes think, I'll maybe watch the episodes later on with the commentary later. There has been occasions in the past where we have actually done a commentary and veered a little bit off topic, we'll say, during the course of said commentary. And
Don't say.
I think it's normal that we veer on topic less.
Well, here's the thing about, I found these commentaries quite curious because they're animated and there's a slight, disconnect when it comes to doing a commentary over something that has the actual audio but not the actual visuals, and you're not listening to the actual audio, you're just watching the visuals. So I find that the commentaries over the next 3 weeks here for the Power of the Daleks are actually just somewhat interesting conversations that happen to take place over animated episodes of Doctor Who. So take from that what you will. It's like a bonus podcast within a podcast is essentially what these commentaries are.
It's been incepted, actually.
Yeah.
Speaking of cartoons, the thought literally only just now crossed my mind.
Okay.
So Power of the Daleks was on the list for commentaries, and it's been done, obviously.
Yeah.
Macro Terror and Faceless Ones are on there as well, or I think we're going to add Faceless Ones and Fury from the Deep when they're available in North America or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, so like 2022 when Fury the Deep
years
comes out
from now.
here. Yeah, we'll add that.
Should we be adding Scream of the Shalka as far as like animated stuff goes?
You know what? Yes, because we have added Paul Cornell to the miniscope because of Scream of the Shalka. So absolutely, Scream of the Shalka goes in there. It's in there. It's canon. It's canon. There's no canon according to Paul Cornell, but so technically it's in there and it's not at the same time. Basically, canon is Schrodinger's cat. It doesn't exist until you open the box, in which case it's dead. I brought up, speaking of McCoy and hating McCoy, in the latest Doctor Who magazine that came out this past week, there's some interesting stuff in there. Yes, I'm referring to it, even though it's fifth on our news list, Chris, so stay calm. But they were talking about a bunch of things. The one article that I read actually was about from Alan Barnes, who talked about how Doctor Who might have been canceled after season 7. Everyone kind of knows that, but it's just interesting to to read all the details behind it. And basically it was because Sean Sutton had moved out of like head of drama or head of serials or something. No, he had become head of drama because Sidney Newman had caught a plane back to Canada at the beginning of 1970. And so there was no one really in the head of serials position to say a yes or no to a replacement show for Doctor Who anyway, so they just carried on. So basically, it was an empty office is why Doctor Who survived, because they had nothing else to put on. What I want to bring up, though, is they were talking about the Who, was it Doctor Who 31? It was like 1991 or 2, or I can't remember the year it was. I think it was 91 when that channel in the UK had like a weekend of Doctor Who, and they had like presenters and like a TARDIS set, and John Nathan Turner was one of the presenters and stuff. And I didn't realize this until Graham Kibble-White posted it on Twitter this morning. For all the repeats of the classic Who repeats, they put new, when I say new, I mean horribly edited McCoy era titles on all the stories to sort of like have them all be part of a piece. And so the video that Graham posted on Twitter was of Genesis of the Daleks with a Sylvester McCoy opening title sequence, except they sort of like faded in the time title sequence when McCoy's face came up, and then up came Genesis of the Daleks with the new logo on it. I thought, this is perfect. This is one of the classic stories of all time, and there's the McCoy era logo on there just for Warren, and I thought, that is amazing. You would have been so annoyed, Warren, had you seen this. No, you would have been annoying. And then it ends. It's just, when they're spinning on the time thing, that out of their evil can come something good. And there's the titles on there, and it was great. Warren, you would be so upset by it.
Now I'm never going to see it because you warned me.
Well, it was very interesting. It also kind of reminded me of, like, it's not the first and certainly won't be the last time where Doctor Who has sort of been rebranded with the same logo as it is now. I have a David Tennant box set which features a logo which came along 10 years after his time on Doctor Who.
That must be maddening to you.
No, I like it, but then I thought, but what if
all the DVDs came out with the McGann logo?
Yeah,
so, we're kind of used to that. We're there.
We are so used to that, getting the Smugglers Target novelization with the McCoy logo on. I mean, the current logo on TV has always been the current logo on the Target books, despite what era it came from. So it's a thing it's as old as time, changing Doctor Who to suit the current era, even if it's one you hate, Warren.
Well, even in the early 60s, there are people who watched the previous season of Doctor Who and were angry that it had already changed.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I found it fascinating in that DWM, they had like a list of how many color TV licenses were granted or applied for or approved in the 1970s. And there was something like less than 2% of the British public in 1970 had a color TV license.
I believe that, yeah.
Yeah, everyone says like, oh, color, the 1970s. Yeah, 98% of the people in the UK weren't watching color Doctor Who.
Their Goblin brand fireplace / television.
Even what was it? Logopolis Part 4, so 1981, March of 1981, there was still like 23% of the public were still watching black and white.
Oh no, I mean even here, like I remember going to people's places and the odd person still had a black and white television.
Yeah,
just because.
I know.
When I was a kid.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 TVs in the house, and then I forget if it was a garage sale or what, but I finally got my own TV, which was a 10 or 12 inch black and white little thing.
Wow.
So I watched it.
Yeah, portable TVs are always black.
Yeah.
I remember going to football games and you'd see guys with like those 2 little tiny portable black and white televisions.
Sony Watchmans.
And by tiny, I mean it's still a brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we've all got that in our pocket.
Yeah.
Tiny screens, especially on those.
Days. Yeah, the days. You kids don't realize how easy you have it. We had to make do with black and white TVs.
And VHF, an antenna jutting out into three rows of football fans.
The other week at work, I was talking to a coworker. She's in her early 20s, and she, like, legitimately, without irony, asked me what life was like before Wi-Fi.
Cool.
I was just gobsmacked. I'm like, how do I answer this question?
I know, because I actually don't remember it. I don't remember.
Like
I choose not to remember.
It was just say it was better. Fill your roles in old and say it was better.
It's more a case of like, how do you even contextualize an answer?
Yeah. Well, there was, where that computer fall for one, that phone you have wasn't there. And the computer you have was probably just like you printed things on it. It was basically an electronic typewriter.
I mean, like, I can understand
I
can understand the perspective of the question as well, because I think back to like in university in like the late 90s, using like Wi-Fi on campus and having a machine capable of Wi-Fi with a ugly ass PCI Express or whatever bus plug-in giant card thing.
Sure.
So yeah, like.
Here's how sad I am. There's a new show called High Score on Netflix, which is basically by the same people that made the toys that made us, although it's less annoyingly flashy. Wow. Anyway, they have lots of shots of old computer. Like they showed an Atari
flashy,
800 and what else? A TRS-80 Model 3, and I was like, yeah, look at those floppies. Oh yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I love is older people incredulously mock the younger generation for not appreciating the stuff that they did as a kid.
Well, why should they care?
Exactly,
honestly?
It's like, oh,
what the hell has any of that got to do with
it? What do you mean you don't know how great Abbey Road is? Oh, you're just a bunch of Philistines, people who were born.
Well, and the thing is, that's not even true.
Years.
There's a YouTube channel. These two kids who just listen to stuff they never heard before, and most of the time love it. Like they did Phil Collins the other day, and I think they did Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Jolene.
Like any generation, there's gonna be a bunch of people who can appreciate quality, and there's gonna be those that don't.
Yeah.
AM radio now is a testament to how many people of previous generations, ourselves included, like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like lately, I've been listening to Pulse, the live album by Pink Floyd from 1995 for a concert in 1994. I've been re-listening to that a crap ton. I love it. But I've been re-listening to it a lot lately, and it's like earlier on in the pandemic when all those outlets were like putting full concerts on YouTube and whatnot. Pink Floyd put the full 2.5 hour Pulse thing on there,
right?
Or is it an edited hour one? Anyway, they put it up on YouTube.
So two songs, basically.
I'm going to be the old guy now and go, if Roger Waters isn't involved, it ain't Pink Floyd.
It is just Gilmore. But anyway, so just like listening to it and watching it and stuff like that. And like when this came out, I was 20, and Kat was like 8. So like just completely different perspectives.
That's actually uncomfortable.
She had never listened to it or anything like that.
I have that weird because movies are so kind of like out of sync with time. I remember watching Goodfellas and going, wait a minute, when I first saw this, I was 19. What? Like, it's just baffling to me.
Yeah.
Pulse now, Chris, is about as old as Pink Floyd was when Pulse came out. Yeah.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. Time's are wasted,
so what's
people.
our conclusion here? We're ancient?
Well, everyone's ancient, and time's
not even
wasted.
justified.
Yeah, I know.
I
didn't know. I didn't.
The K, the L, the F, and the ology.
I did not know the history of the KLF, about how they basically took all their material and set fire to it on an island.
No, they set fire to 1 million pounds on a Scottish island.
1 million pounds of like destroyed all their archives and stuff. So like I remember like looking, why isn't Doctor Who the Time Lords doctored the TARDIS on Apple Music, because it doesn't really exist anymore. I just find that hilarious. I
think it's more a case of they just don't want, like, they're Bill and Jimmy have just never put anything on stream.
Bill and Jimmy, your two friends, Bill and
close
Jimmy.
personal bros.
Yeah.
Well, it always baffled me that it was two white guys behind KLF, despite all the other musical influences.
Good music.
Yeah.
I do have files of like the Canadian version of the CD single, which had like a whole bunch of different mixes on it. I think the minimal mixes.
I believe I had a single of it.
I had a single too.
I no longer do.
I had it all. Doctor and the TARDIS?
Still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God knows where it is. I think it's long since gone.
I ditched my CDs when I moved to London ages ago, but I had it. Yeah.
I had the CD years before I had a CD player. That's how dedicated I was. Conflicted as a Doctor Who fan. Probably the latter.
That's the reason we watched Red Dwarf, because there was nothing else.
I know.
Not that Red Dwarf is bad, but that was like, well, we got nothing. This is as close as we're getting. So
to throw a Doctor Who tie-in to Red Dwarf.
we
Since
go.
you bring it up,
Bringing it right
Dave,
back. Bringing it right back around here.
Yeah. I'll bring it back to Doctor Who. There's a 3-part documentary that was just aired on Dave, I assume. Anyway,
probably.
UK Play TV, whatever. Called Red Dwarf: The First 3 Million Years, which is narrated by David Tennant.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, God, he's everywhere. He is ubiquitous. You know, I kind of liked it when my Doctor Who's like faded off into obscurity once they were done with the show. But like David Tennant's like made a career out of himself, for God's sake.
Well, you know what that means with Americans.
Yeah.
It means they have mortgages due on a place in LA. So maybe he's got an expensive London apartment he needs to pay off.
I've started listening to I can't remember the formal name, Conan O'Brien's podcast. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, or whatever it's called.
Needs a lot more than that.
He does a lot of ad reads on it.
Uh-huh.
By the way, I love what I saw somebody, I think they're talking Simpsons guys. They said,
Chris was in the middle of a sentence
was.
when you interrupted him. So
all
maybe
right,
just
then finish
park
your
that.
damn sentence.
Yes,
At any
yes.
rate, so on the podcast, like I said, he does a lot of ad reads, including a segment they call Conan Pays Down the Mortgage on His Beach House.
All right. So what I was going to say is I saw
Okay.
somebody, I think the Talking Simpsons guys, say that once the pandemic hit, you realize the only difference between these talk show people and them or anybody else on YouTube was how expensive stuff was on their walls. They kind of got a point.
Yeah, it was a good way to show off stuff that you bought. I bet you they probably cobble it all together too. Like, come on, we're making a set at home. Let's get all the Mona Lisas together, even the ones that are fakes. Put them on the back.
I was just saying this morning that I play a fun game with myself when I'm watching the news. Do they live in the suburbs or do they live downtown? Based on what the background is.
That's
Of
true.
some reporters.
That's true.
Home.
And
It's like, oh, bookshelves, probably downtown.
Yeah, bookshelves is definitely a downtown thing. Anyway, we're recording
So
this
that
on
was Doctor
Saturday.
Who magazine.
Yeah, that was Doctor Who magazine. 555 in shops now. A good little magazine, a good tiny little magazine, and they also had a big preview of Fury from the Deep, which of course comes out next month in the UK and doesn't come out here until, as I said a couple weeks ago, the Stacey Abrams administration. How we get there, I don't know. Stay tuned and find out.
America's first Whovian president.
She was on David Tennant Does a Podcast with, episode 2. I haven't listened to it yet, but she's the second guest after, I was going to call him Jim Neighbors, the one from Big Bang Theory. It's a good podcast, actually. I don't know if you all listen to that, but
If Jim Neighbors appears on The Big Bang Theory, I might actually watch it.
well,
Since he's been dead for years.
as has
And Big Bang Theory
as
is
well.
no longer in production.
Yeah.
Good. There is a God.
Speaking of Fury from the Deep, when it comes to things that we here in Canada will never see until years from now, Doctor Who Time Fracture is an immersive theater experience coming
It's very confusing.
in February.
From what I read on the
let me
press
talk
release,
about it
yeah.
first, and then you can comment, Warren. Interrupter Warren.
All right, then.
here.
Is that how it works now? Okay.
Well,
you're just jumping right in there all day.
You really are jumping in. I mean, maybe we should.
Full of coffee and beans.
I guess so. It's an immersive theater experience, which is kind of like an escape room ish kind of thing. It's taking place in London. Depressingly, the Tuesday after Gallifrey 1, February 17th, 2021, with tickets available through till April 2021. We obviously don't have access to, because we are not there. And boy, howdy, flying to London right now is not going to be a thing that I'm going to be doing anytime soon. But there have been trailers. You can watch the trailers, and they're very intriguing. Like they're actual, like little teasers and stuff. Like there's 2 or 3 of them, and the final one features Kate Lethbridge Stewart is there. Stewart.
And saying Kate Lethbridge Stewart, not just Kate Stewart.
Oh, I didn't see that. Wow, that's quite something. So, yeah, it's on the Doctor Who YouTube channel. They've been posting these one a day. I think there's 3 of them. I think I saw 3 of them.
I've only come across 2, and I've only put 2 in the
2?
show notes, so I'll have to find the 3rd when I do the show
I
notes.
also could be wrong, because YouTube used to send me email alerts when Doctor Who videos were posted, and now it doesn't do that.
I
don't know
noticed
why.
all my subscriptions got reset, basically, so I've had to go through manually and redo the ones I could remember that I had.
No, that's terrible.
But the time fracture thing. So it's runs through late May, I think, is what it is. We were we had flights and whatever booked, but we were supposed to go to London this past spring, and obviously didn't.
In the before
So we
time,
keep-
actually the during.
We
time,
keep
but, yeah.
kind of like probably more fantasy than reality, but trying to plan a time frame for a trip back over there as much as anything to use the frickin' airline credit that I got from the quote unquote refund of that flight.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're contemplating spring of next year when this would actually be going on. So if we make it over, I think I might give it a shot to try to get to this thing. Apparently, what they do is, and I don't know if this will change as time goes on or not, but they say it's supposed to be in a COVID-friendly environment. So
yes, friendly towards COVID.
Yeah.
So it's you book tickets with your own little bubble, kind of like the NHL is doing. You book tickets with your own little bubble of people, and it's only
cohort, if you will.
Your group in a bubble at a time.
Yeah.
And you go around. It does sound kind of escape roomy, but tickets are around £50 each.
Well, hey, you're paying for like actors and stuff too.
You are
because
paying
it's
for
immersive.
You're. I can understand why it's as expensive as it is, but damn, that's expensive.
That's the part that terrifies me. The immersive theater experience.
$100 Canadian per person.
Because I went to.
May I now jump in? By the way, you go ahead. You go ahead first.
Thank you, Warren. I remember going to Heritage Park in Calgary a couple years ago. And, there are people like dressed up in costume from like 1890 or something like that. They're interacting with you and I just feel like, oh my God, I feel so terrible for this actor here who is having to do this because I am not an actor and I am having to sort of like carry on the pretense because I don't want to be the one that completely messes him up and throws him off. And he has to like overcompensate to sort of bring everyone back into the scene, so to speak. And I feel like with an immersive theater experience like this, I'll be like, oh my God, there's an actor right now. He's pretending to be in 1940 and I don't know anything about 1940. And I don't want anything. I got to bring this down and I'm just going to hide in the corner. Don't talk to me, please.
When I watched the unit promo thing that had Kate Lethbridge Stewart in it, there's three people in it all together, all of whom are, for the most part, looking dead into the camera, talking to you. And it made me... It made me think of like 90s video games, like cutscenes from Command and Conquer or Wing Commander or things like that.
Oh dear.
Where it just felt so cheesy.
The glory days of FMV.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, they are shooting programs again now. Like I can't remember the name of the show. It was started production before the pandemic, and now they're starting up again. It's a 6-part BBC series of Saran Jones. I mean, there are other shows that have started up.
There are.
I know that there are some shows in the States and possibly Canada that are starting up production again.
There's some in Canada happening here in Vancouver.
Like it is
not in Toronto apparently.
It has started to creep up again, and obviously I bring this up because Doctor Who was slated to start next month, and it might well. But we'll see. It's interesting to see how they'll do this.
Here's my belated take on immersive theater.
Okay, here we go.
Two things. One, this press release, if I didn't know what an immersive theater was in the first place, I still wouldn't know after this press release. It did infuriatingly vague as to what the hell. And the video you see with the Daleks flying around, I'm like, I don't know if this actually reflects what I'm going to be experiencing. Two, I'm sure this is a much better experience, but I did one immersive theater thing here, which is Alice in Wonderland, and it was not good. Like the sets were good, but then it was just an excuse for actors to emote at you, and there's no bigger nightmare for me than that. I don't need to have people emoting at me. I feel like I'm in a video game and I can't punch people. So that's a problem.
I would imagine the press release, at least in part, might be purposefully vague to just not give things away.
So
I suppose, but it doesn't really tell me what I'm in for. Like it just
at the end of the day,
it's
got the words "Doctor" and "Who" stamped on it. If you have the
but it almost seems like you're going to a movie theater hitting buttons. I mean, that's how vague it is. Which you aren't, but it's confusing.
Well,
to me.
It is. I mean, tickets are on sale now. You can get them now. But as I said, it does launch until February of next year. Wonder where we'll be as a society in February of next year.
Feral, most likely.
Hopefully a California one.
That would be nice. But who knows? Anyway, moving on, everyone. Moving on. Titan is relaunching their Doctor Who series. It's Doctor Who. It's comic. Doctor Who comic is what it's called now. With issue 1. which features the 10th and 13th Doctors and the Weeping Angels and the Autons and Sea Devils. There's also Sea Devils in there. Big, massive relaunch with a whole bunch of different covers. Rachel Stott has done probably my favorite cover with all the Doctors Who on there and Bessie and everything. It's basically you could use that to sell the whole show as far as I'm concerned. And so, yes, the Doctor Who is relaunching basically. Doctor Who Comic 1 hits stores the same week as Doctor Who Comics Day, which is the 21st of November, 2 days prior to Doctor Who's anniversary, of course. So big news in the comic world for Doctor Who.
With the Sea Devils, which I'm still baffled that I haven't come back for real.
Yeah, the actual proper Sea Devils, yeah. Because they were like, they were squaddies in Warriors of the Deep, let's face it. They were henchmen for the Silurians, and I feel like there should be a civil war. Oh, Silurian civil war between the Sea Devils. There you go, Chibnall. Write that for your Series 13.
Very helpful.
Why not? He wrote a previous Silurian story. He brought him back in Series 6. Lastly, some Big Finish news. River Song is returning for Series 8 of the Diary of River Song with K9! River Song and the sassy little robot dog. Is that K9? So that's coming out, which is very good fun because K9 and River Song are great together. So probably, and so you can pre-order those now because why wouldn't you?
And the return of the Mechanoids. The Mechanoids were incomprehensible on TV. I don't think they're going to be any better in audio.
Nick Briggs is doing
they could do a lot better cleaning it up now than they could have done in the 60s.
You have to adhere to it, but like I watch The Chase for some reason, and when I do, I usually watch stuff with captioning on now because it dates back to my Master Control days when I just got used to it, being in loud control rooms and you sort of had it on. And so I need to watch The Chase with it. And they go, really? That's what they were saying all this time? Like I remember watching that in the 90s going, I had no idea what these real big giant billiard balls are saying, and apparently they had words. So you won't have the luxury of closed captioning when you're listening to the Big Finish ones though. So good luck, Nick Briggs. Good luck with that on the River Song thing. So that's it. That is it for our news, everyone, after the very short break. It's the first 2 episodes of, if you thought we went off topic during this news list, just wait till you hear the commentary for the first 2 episodes of The Power of the Daleks. Yeah, here we go. This is unprecedented territory for us here, folks, on our classic series commentary. 6 episodes of animated, televised Doctor Who with The Power of the Daleks, the debut story of one Patrick Troughton, which, of course, no longer exists in the BBC archive, so they animated it, and then they released it again on a special edition in the UK that we don't have, unsurprisingly, so we'll be watching the original version. I don't know if they changed. I don't think they would change it, would they? They wouldn't change the actual televised product. I know there's extra value-added material in the new Blu-ray set, but I don't think there's anything different with the actual episodes.
I don't know. I was going to save this for once we actually got... No, I got a question, but let's roll first.
Yeah, we got 6 episodes to get through, folks, over the next 3 weeks.
6 episodes, and the first at least 2 are over long as well.
Maybe in your opinion, some people in this room consider this a stone cold
relative
classic.
to the 25-minute standard runtime. I mean,
yeah, I know what you mean.
And especially relative to, like, say, Mind of Evil, or not Mind of Evil, Mind Robber, for example.
Mind Robber, yeah, that's right. You can fit that. You can fit that inside a 1982 Volkswagen Beetle. That's how much compact that 5-part story is.
Recording on SP.
That was labored. That was a labored bit of.
That was a bit.
Whatever that was.
Yeah, it was actually. You're right. SP. I could back when I recorded 1 story per tape. I could get 4-parters onto SP tapes. 5-parters were. I don't think I could do it. I got to go.
Need a T180, baby. A T180.
ELP. Yeah, sometimes I would do that, but hey, the Mind Robber, perfect. 5 20-minute episodes. All right. Anyway, Power of the Daleks. I assume you've got all your illegally purchased DVDs, perhaps your Blu-ray in the UK. It won't work because you're watching on PAL and we're watching NTSC. So you're going to be either ahead of us or behind us. I can't remember which, but
both at the same time.
That's how time travel works, baby. All right, good. So here we go. Power of the Daleks, episode 1 in 3, 2, 1, play.
Yep, get that baby up to 88 miles an hour.
Yeah. So obviously
You're
there
gonna
was
see some serious, etc.
Yeah, there was no pre-credit sequence on the original version. This is artistic license. I believe all the Macroterra has a pre-credit sequence. I haven't seen the faceless ones yet because that's arriving in Canada probably in 2023. I'm just saying October 23, but
yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember
fine.
her macro. Anyway, yeah, I was going to ask. So this episode is a little over 28 minutes. I could look it up, obviously, but I'm lazy. Did the original broadcast run that long?
It well, let me tell you, Chris, as I look it up. It was 25 minutes.
Screen accurate, but
43.
But
Yeah, this is
is pretty impressive. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's the thing. I mean, Power of the Daleks has some fairly iconic clips that are
like this
existing.
bit looks like a drawn version of the actual clip that exists. Yeah,
The proper thing.
It
Yeah.
probably is because that still exists, thankfully.
This is
and the way the
actual
TARDIS looks
one,
too
yeah.
is like nicely detailed.
Yeah. Did they animate? They might have animated this for the faceless ones too. Don't laugh at us, UK listeners, because we don't have the DVD yet to check. But
You mean
Is
the
that the
Blu-ray?
animated
We don't
version?
get that either.
yeah, we don't even get that.
I don't know if this is animated. It looks. If it is, it's why bother? Because it looks the same.
Yeah. I think it's the same. They even got the tape loop in there.
At first, that looked like it was painted over an actual thing.
Well, this was a still. It was a still photo that they used
Okay,
for the
so it
title
kind of was.
caption, I
Then.
think.
All right.
Yeah. And the telesnaps exist of this, so they could very easily do a thing. It's Annika Wills, everyone. I have to tell the story of this because at Chicago TARDIS in whatever year it was, the year this came out on DVD, I was tasked to moderate a commentary for episode 1 of this at Chicago TARDIS with Annika Wills. And so we got out there, I asked her a couple questions about it, and then we press play. And, live commentaries are weird because you're watching a thing and then, oh, right, we have to talk over this. And I was trying to talk, but you just sort of but we should be quiet. So we're watching this and thinking,
She shushed you.
actually, I don't think she was told that it would be a commentary. And so I was trying to talk and she was trying not to talk. And so it was a
Well, at least
bizarre
she's trying to be
25
polite.
minutes.
So that's
Yeah,
something.
it was a bizarre 25 minutes. Let's put it that
I'm
way.
enjoying the midsection, like where the trousers end and the shirt, like where they meet, because he's shifting back and forth, and it looks like his
Now, that is very
top
60s.
half and the bottom half of the body were like, yeah. It
I
looked
kind
a
of dig
little-
the
little
backgrounds and
exaggerated.
foreground where they sort of make the props more 3D than the people, which is kind of interesting.
I don't know the animation technique. Is it like flash animation or something? I know that's what they did for the invasion back in 7. But,
Probably not Flash at this point, but something similar. Actually, I don't know if somebody who works in animation could tell me. Flash used to be the standard for animating like stuff like this, and it may or may not be still. It's not on the web, that's for damn sure. But
No, well, Flash is a thing. Dies in 2020, so
true, but that doesn't.
Yeah.
Have you ever used an Avid? The thing is like 10 years old, basically. You could walk into any edit suite, and they're gonna have stuff that's 10 years old, and they're gonna use it, and they're gonna keep using it because it works. So
Probably.
if Flash works, they're gonna keep using it.
So I saw this, the omnibus version, in a theater in Edmonton. Back when we went to theaters.
right,
Yeah,
that was
it was
one of
in
the ones that was in the cinema. Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
I did not, and as I was remarking before we started recording, I had completely forgotten it was widescreen as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember off the top of your head? So with it being widescreen, did they crop the image or expand the image? Like, is it an expanded left and right of the 4:3, or did they crop the 4:3 to get down to 16:9? I can't remember.
Why would they be showing a 4:3 image on the movie screen?
Yeah, that's a
No.
good
Well,
question.
because the original would have
Right.
been 4:3. This is 16:9.
What, the original televised broadcast,
Yes,
which no longer exists? Do you mean that
Correct.
one?
Yeah, they wouldn't be showing that in the theater. What are you saying?
but
They didn't show a telesnap recon in the theater, nor did they adhere themselves directly to a 4:3 version either.
no, I'm just curious if to get this, because or did they like recomposite everything, like reposition people to fit what would have been a 4.3 into a 16.9?
I don't think they cared that much about we need to have this exactly screen accurate to what 75.
Well, this isn't screen accurate, so why would they?
Yeah.
Like the only person who'd watch a Telesnap Recon in the theater is Steven.
Yeah, I would do it.
I can think of a few people who would, but yeah,
I would totally do it.
I mean, I have watched a Telesnap Recon of this.
Does this mirror thing actually happen in the show?
Yeah, it does. Except so the funny thing is that everyone before they saw the telesnaps, I think the telesnaps for this were found in like 1993. So everyone sort of like had this idea that there was this legendary scene where like Trout looks at a mirror and then he sort of like dissolves and it's William Hartnell moving and smiling back and then it fades back again. And then they found the telesnaps. And it's just a photo of William Hartnell on a piece of on a fake mirror is basically what it was. Yeah.
Some of the low tech ways are still the best ways,
I suppose.
They're for anything. Like to this day, you'll see that in like movies and stuff.
I was such a huge fan of this. The first time I saw it, I watched the BBC MP3 CD, the only version, the time they came out with that, which was a proper Telesnap Recon with narration from Annika Wills, and I was just this is amazing. I mean, as we'll get into the various elements of the story, which I find super amazing. And I boldly ranked it as the third best story of all time in my opinion. After I watched
boldly,
it,
you say.
Yeah.
You're speaking of the low-tech ways. I was just watching a bit of the end of Infinity War this morning while I was doing some drudgery, and I noticed that myself because there's a whole thing where people are attacking Thanos, and there's a bunch of special effects, but there's a couple people where they just kind of tumble in slow-mo away from him. So, although Thanos is a big special effect, the actual humans are just like, Blip. So you don't need to actually sell anything with them. It's just like, if we had a special effect here, it'd just be too much. We just have to have them roll away, and you're going to accept it. It does work.
I'm sure
even for something as expensive as that, which probably costs $1 billion to make.
I'm also sure things like that, any director would be like, okay, so the audience focus is going to be here, so we can economize over here on this part of the frame.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to look at this purple guy. Even something that expensive, they're going to look for ways to save a bit of money here and there.
Yeah.
And this is not that expensive.
No.
I'm sure it is expensive for Doctor Who.
He's looking through Mr. Dressup's tickle chunker in here.
There's a reference only Canadians will get.
You betcha. It's required. It's part of this podcast charter is to include I think there are fewer in-jokes. Rob Ritchie threw a bunch of in-jokes like Sacha Dhawan's master on a wanted poster and the faceless one sort of thing. I think this one doesn't have that right. For animated purposes. 500-Year Diary was there, though. It's a rather famous publicity photo.
I do remember that from the Celebration book.
Yep. It's taken from this.
Of course, I remember everything from the Celebration book, so.
Mm-hmm. By the way, we're watching a new Doctor here. So, this is like one of the most iconic stories of all time just for that. The fact that, let's just have a new Doctor. Let's just do that.
Patrick Troughton's got yet another family.
I mean, he's not that new a Doctor, given all the other Doctors preceding him and Hartnell, according to the new canon.
Yeah. He's the second on-screen Doctor that we see, anyway.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yeah.
Also, I don't even know what the hell I think about, or if I think anything at all about the Timeless Child thing.
You're obviously not counting like Brian Proudfoot or Edmund Warwick or...
Yeah, I'm not talking stunt doubles or... anything like that. No.
Well, here's what I'm doing with the Timeless Children thing and anything else. I'm disengaging. Sure, whatever. That's pretty much my take on everything. Yeah, fine. Is it worth me getting wound up about? No, not really.
I think we need to talk about the hat.
The hat,
I think we do. This hat is glorious.
The hat that started and did not last long.
No.
Was that from his first pirate outfit of questionable ethnicity?
No.
The blackface one?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
We'll talk about the origins of the character, I'm sure, throughout the course of this commentary. But no, I think he just liked the hat, and he liked to dress up a bit, so they gave him this silly hat. And I think by the time... I don't think it's in Underwater Menace. I think it's basically gone come the Highlanders.
I know it's in Highlanders, but I don't know if it's after that.
Because it's certainly not in 2 and 3 of Underwater Menace, and it's certainly not in the Moon Base. So
No.
I feel like it got axed pretty quick. As we said on the Morris Berry miniscope, I feel like Morris Berry should get more credit for reining in the Doctor's silliness, because he's a bit eccentric for these first few episodes until the Moon Base comes along, and there's Morris Berry tapping his music stand with a script on it with a pencil going, da, 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 da. This is a proper story. Everyone settle down.
Very McCoy-esque, you might say.
Kind of.
So here's my question. What are other props / accessories that didn't make the cut past the first couple episodes with other Doctors? I can't think of any, but I'm sure there were some.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's fast. I mean,
well, none of Tom Baker's alternate outfits. That doesn't really count, though.
Well, okay, yeah, but those were never mentioned.
McCoy's umbrella change. You got the question mark umbrella in Delta and the Bannerman.
Delta, yeah.
True, yes.
Didn't have it at all in the first episode. Got a different scarf. Had a paisley scarf by the time Delta came along, too.
In Doctor Who and the Silurians, the Doctor basically sheds his whole outfit, and he's just like in the white T-shirt.
He keeps it, though. You know, something that was there and then is gone is what Warren's asking.
Pertwee's tattoo vanishes.
Actually, Davison's glasses appear in Castrovalva, and then they leave. Oddly enough, they return in another Bidmead story, Frontios, which we've done a commentary for, and almost did another one. The hat, William Hartnell's hat that he wears when he's lighting a cigar or a pipe in the second episode of An Earthly Child. Doesn't wear that again. Yeah, the fur hat. Oddly enough, though, he does wear it again because he has it in War Machines, actually. I take that back.
Ah, yes.
Well, let's look at the pipe. The pipe is gone. He no longer smokes a pipe after episode 2 of An Unearthly Child. Anyway, you can see that the animation is easy for us to talk over. We're sort of randomly going through Doctor Who history, thinking about costume changes, but
Colin Baker's cat badges.
They change each time, but that was
they changed, but it's pretty consistent for the first season, as I recall.
Well, it was
the fact there's one there, yes.
I don't remember if. I don't remember if he had cat badges in season 23. For some reason, I'm not seeing it in my mind's eye.
He did. He did, because I just watched the Vord. Not Vord.
Vervoid.
Terror of the Vervoids. Terror of the Vords would be much better.
That'd be intriguing.
Arbitan seeks his revenge.
So right there is Marcus Scarman on the right. It's Bernard Archard in his first of 2 Doctor Who roles.
The other one being Marcus Scarman, yep.
The other one being Marcus Scarman, yes. Well done.
Marcus Scarman, better than Garmin GPS?
Yes, Carmen Ghia, the classic Volkswagen car.
The 1982 Beetle that the Mind Robber fits into.
That is correct. Probably Mexican made. I think they were discontinued in other parts of the world at that point.
Hisho on Mexico.
So we're watching the black and white version, by the way, just in case. I know that changes little for those of you watching at home or wherever you are.
I still would have liked to have been in the room when this was being made and BBC America says, hey, we want color.
Yeah.
Do it.
It says a lot that the special edition does not include the color version, because basically BBC America the Charles Norton and Company had to basically remake the entire thing because they hadn't set it up to be colorized, so they had to go through with a great deal of expense. I think the same budget basically as to make the 6 episodes black and white. They spent as much money to make them color.
Which, I mean, in retrospect, is kind of silly because it's easier just to produce in color and then desaturate.
Yeah, but if you're never intending to produce in color, then there you go. It is odd because maybe you don't have.
Still though, if you're looking for set coloration or whatever, I got to think it's easier to do it in color. Just take the color out, and then there's your contrast. But I don't know.
Well, that's not that easy.
I'm not an art designer, so I don't know.
If you're designing this from scratch, no. There's a grayscale to this, and there's more to it than that.
There is the, where do you get the color sources from too? I mean, not all productions or sets perhaps exist in a colorized format.
I think there's some artistic license happening here.
But
if memory
serves, there are a bunch of color photos of this.
There are some.
Although
maybe
they were later discoveries. I can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
The thing is, I'd rather watch their interpretation of it than some slavishly, that never works, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why one of the reasons why they chose. I mean, Power is obviously an important story, and it came out in the 50th anniversary of the original broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also they chose it because it's 6 missing episodes, and they don't have to sort of work around an existing orphan episode here or there. They can just basically make a complete product as they see fit.
Yet they wouldn't put any money into animating Underwater Menace.
Well, they might yet.
They might for the season 4 Blu-ray, sure.
Yeah, just 2 episodes.
Well, what's going to sell? Underwater Menace or Power of the Daleks? This one's about seaweed,
exactly.
and this one's about the Daleks, and it has the first episode, the first story of the Second Doctor.
Yeah, it's Fury from the Deep of the Seaweed, but
whatever. It's who cares? It's some underwater nonsense.
The part of it as well is this is 6 episodes and that was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nobody cares.
Ben looks so pissed off.
I know I love this because
he's mad about my Underwater Menace mistakes, I'm sure.
Yeah, what I really like about the relationship here is that the viewers probably are going, who is this new person? Why is he here?
Yeah.
And Paulie is kind of like, well, let's take him at his word. Let's he probably is the Doctor, but we're not sure. But Ben is basically like a lot of viewers. Like, I don't know who this guy is. What the hell is he doing here? He's not the real Doctor.
That's fair.
He's mirroring a lot of reaction from the actual viewing public right now.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. So, like, getting into the head of the production team or whatever when the changeover was done, like Ben and Polly are there in the TARDIS. They literally witness the transformation.
Yeah.
How incredulous should they be?
They don't. Well, it says they do witness, but I mean, how do you compare? Like, okay, we flip him over and say, oh, he's become a new Doctor. Like, oh, well, I could totally believe that. I mean, even that is just a weird thing for 2 people from 1966 to just sort of happen upon. I can kind of believe that they didn't believe what they just saw.
I never bought into Clara, pardon me, getting wound up about there being a new Doctor, because I'm like, you've seen them all.
But she hasn't seen them change. Hasn't seen the change, hasn't seen her Doctor
It's still
change.
a stretch, though, I think.
It didn't ring true to me.
I don't know. It's kind of like me with the end of Legomplis. It's like, I kind of understand that there have been previous Doctors, but I didn't expect this one to change, and it mortified me.
No, that's still part of why the Matt Smith cameo phone call thing in Deep Breath doesn't sit well with me.
See, I like that part of it. I think that's great. I remember reading the script, the Carmago script or whatever, before the and getting to that part and going, nicely done, Moffat. Nicely. It works better on the page than it does on film / TV, but it does. I don't mind that part of it. I just think her reaction seems a little, I don't know, convenient for the writer, basically, not for the audience.
Yeah.
Well, this here story that we're watching right now starts the long line of, is everyone going to accept this new Doctor? Maybe let's play it safe and have something else as a standby. So there's Daleks in here. The first time the Daleks are back almost a year. There's like, let's have Matt Smith come back just in case they don't like Peter Capaldi. Let's have everyone remember, the 11th hour is full of references to David Tennant just to ensure that he's okay. He's a new guy, but he's okay.
Not to mention the 11th hour has the shots of all the Doctor's faces that he walks through the Tennant face.
Very conscious illusion, yeah.
And then I assume kind of Courtney / unit for Spearhead and Robot, I guess.
And Robot too, yeah. Comfortable trappings,
The
Castrovalva is oddly enough
is
the first time where it's like, no, this is like basically the season 18 is like, Tom Baker, you are the last relic of this new thing that we're doing. Could you please leave so we can get a new Doctor in here and we can carry on?
Don't really have that for Twin Dilemma though.
No, but
But that's its own
I think we
mistake.
talked about this. That's about as smug as Doctor Who gets, thinking that whatever, we can just move on past the greatest story of all time
Let's have a monster that looks worse than the Swarm and make that our premier monster. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I never minded the look of, what's his face?
Mestor.
Mestor. Yeah.
He's kind of, I don't know, he's a cross-eyed.
Just because, like, the first time I would have seen it would have been
Army of layabouts. Sorry, I just feel we should maybe comment on the animated.
That's fair. The first time I would have seen Mestor would have probably been the Target novelization cover.
Yeah, same here.
He's on the cover.
Monsieur Skeletor, I believe, was the one who
Skeletor every time.
I'm calling him Skeletor because I have a brand, and my brand is mispronunciation.
I'm sure people enjoy that, having their names mispronounced.
Pretty sure Mr. Skeletor Mr. Skeletor is not listening to this podcast.
Skeletor probably had his name mispronounced, and that's why he was so angry on the He-Man show. And
that's why he punches mirrors.
He-Man show. Does he really? That's a lot of bad luck there.
There's a great famous gif of him going through a mirror, then punching it. It's just a fantastic Skeletor dick move.
Oh. By the way, have a listen to the theme song to He-Man and the theme song to Remington Steele, and it's the same song, just a different key.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the same person composed both of them.
Maybe they did. I never found out. But
was it Mike Post who composed practically everything?
No, it wasn't. He didn't.
Him and Alan Thicke were the '80s duopoly.
Tom Baker.
I like how he puts his badge on, and so he's a Vulcan guy now.
Well, no,
he found the
badge.
badge. That's how he got in.
Yeah. Right. So he gets knocked out in the swamp in Vulcan, and then Spock comes in and puts the badge on him, and now he thinks,
damn Ponfar again.
Yep.
Tom Baker was once in Remington Steele.
He was indeed.
Yes, he was. I remember watching Remington Steele at the time, and he showed up out of nowhere, and I'm like, what the hell? And then he barely shows up again.
Oh, that's too bad. Such was his plight post-Doctor Who. When Doctor Who was a death knell when it came to your career. Walking is never an easy thing to do with animation.
I'm sure.
No, it just doesn't look great. Mm-hmm. But that's, what are you going to do?
Yeah, because, the thing is if you were to produce like a animated Doctor Who story, you wouldn't have it matched to audio of an existing one because there is so much more breathing space, let's say, in an actual. And so, like, to have such breathing space, there are a lot of people like that move his, like Lesterson moves his hands and heads and stuff, even though he probably doesn't in the actual original version. But if you have him just sort of standing still, it's just dull. It looks completely dull. And you would edit out all these little bits of walking and gaps in between talking and looking around and stuff. The animated version for this, if you chop down the audio, which would be blasphemous, might I add, you would probably have like an hour 15 story, 6-part story with all the gaps cut out. But alas, like if you did an animated recon of like a modern Who story, I imagine it would be easier to do in a way. But we're watching 1960s television here in animated form.
Yeah, and Cliff Clavin is explaining everything to the people around him.
That there is Mr. Chin. That is Mr. Chin from the Ministry. Thank you very much.
But I think you're right. He does look very Clavin-esque. Yeah. And this other guy looks like the blonde dude from V, the lizard who collaborates.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to go for deep cuts.
Jan Michael Vincent? No, Jan Michael Vincent. Mark Singer. That's who I'm thinking of.
No, he was the human.
Yeah, he was. They had another guy called Martin, and then a twin of his came back because they killed the original guy in the miniseries.
It's blown in the wrong end of it.
Anyway, he was some blonde 80s dude.
Yeah.
The Doctor, you Claude.
The belt buckle off to the side. Let's see, they got into comfortable wear.
They did. Comfortable colony wear. Everyone in the colony has to wear the same clothes.
That makes for a lot of naked people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to share them, right?
Maybe.
Because if it's the same clothes, so there's only one set,
A little bit of dodgy walking animation there, sorry. I mean, I would do much poorer, but it's just fair. Like, how do you have them sneak along? I mean, we don't want to blow the budget, so... Like, it's these scenes that perhaps suffer from the lack of action because they're sneaking, and Troughton's a sneaky actor.
Well, as cheap as the sneaking looks, the live action sneaking probably looked worse.
It's fascinating that Troughton's Doctor is as he is right already. Like he's always sort of been like, especially in Tomb of the Cybermen, he's very much a doctor in the background, you know. And throughout this whole thing, Hartnell would be talking to himself. If this was a Hartnell episode, oh yeah, so what's this? Yes, very much. He'd very much be like sort of doing his little Greek chorus kind of like soliloquy to the audience, explaining what he's doing. There's none of that with Troughton. None of it.
I love this bit. Polly,
Yeah.
Ben, meet the Daleks.
This exists. This part was part of a promo that was found on at the back end, I think, of I can't remember, Wicker's World or something like that from 1966, advertising this. So this tiny clip, about 20 seconds long, is actually.
I just love this.
And it falls. Like, God, what a reveal. Like, you know, think of all the Terry Nation Dalek reveals. And it's always like, here are the Daleks in power. Here's one coming out of the water. Here's one coming out of the sand. Look out, it's us. It's the Daleks.
And even when he gets back to writing Dalek stories, like episode 1 of the Planet of the Daleks, for example.
Doing it again.
Spray paint. Yeah.
Yeah, it's doing it again. But here it's like they're dead. And that's the cliffhanger. Like, why are they dead? Supposedly. David Whittaker writes the best 2 Dalek stories in classic series history. Perhaps all series history. I don't think there's that many Dalek stories that have been made since that have been as good as this. There's a reason why Mark Gatiss just ripped it off for Victory of the Daleks.
Yeah, because it didn't exist.
He's never ripped anything off.
Yeah, it didn't exist. So I think, whatever. We'll just do an homage. We'll call it an homage. But really, let's face it. First 15 minutes of that story is basically...
Yeah. And then 2 years after Victory comes out, we're going to animate this.
We're animating it. It's so okay to go.
Victory is not so good.
No.
Also, I think the Examiner is the Watcher, but creepier.
I think so. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just basically the Watcher, except he's creeping around, being a real weirdo.
Oh,
Tristram Carey.
I like the Dealey Derbyshire
Yeah,
gets a
my
credit.
website.
Yeah, but she get a credit before? Maybe she did. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I wish I could operate a Grams.
Dennis Spooner.
Of course, that Michael Bryant
It's not in this bit.
Bryant.
I think these are additional credits. I don't think this is part of the because
Expanded
usually
credits.
in 60s Who the larger portion of the credits would be on the last episode of a story only.
Yeah.
So that's why this is a slightly longer episode.
And even then,
those credits right there.
Credits.
Are we gonna get
in,
more
and
credits?
Well, we've got almost a minute of runtime.
Yeah,
on
here
this
we go.
thing here.
Oh, boy.
Animation credits. Okay.
We got this for every episode too. So I mean, good. Good on him. I don't know how to draw, so I'm amazed by
No, nor do I.
all the art from these fine folk. Mike Collins, he was a Gallifrey 1 guest back when we went to Gallifrey 1. Yeah. I want to be a live action. I could do that. There's Rob Ritchie right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's been on Michael
Dinsdale.
Dinsdale.
Mark Ayres. We'll talk about Mark. Good on you, Mark Graham Strong, for
Graham
recording
Strong,
this back in the days. Yeah. Jonathan Wood is one of the great. Hey, there's Steve Roberts. We're just naming names we recognize in the credits. Basically, is what we're
That's
doing.
fine.
Paul Hembury. Don't recognize him.
What else
No,
are we
I
going to
don't.
do?
Yeah, it's true.
There's no story to talk over.
I suppose not. We get a BBC Worldwide logo too for those of you at home. So, okay, well, that was fun. Look at that. We talked about at least for 2 minutes cumulatively on that episode. See if we can talk about more on this here episode, episode 2 of The Power of the Daleks. Here we go. Got it queued up? Good. 3, 2, 1, play. There's no pre-credit scenes here. So the story is written by David Whittaker, who did write the story as such, but he sort of, without knowing what the new Doctor was going to be like, left it very vague. It didn't like do what Terrence Dix did in Robot and sort of like, now he's eccentric and you can dial that down later if you want to. He left it purposely vague because he didn't know what to do. And he was busy working on a film by the time rewrites had to come in, and Jerry Davis, the script editor at the time, was busy basically writing the Highlanders. So they commissioned one Dennis Spooner to take a pass at the script, and he shortened some sequences. It was over long. The most important point is that he really refined the character of the Doctor. So Dennis Spooner, the second ever story editor on Doctor Who, and one who was responsible for bringing more humor into the program, could very much be seen as being responsible for setting in motion the character of the Second Doctor.
Spooner wrote the Romans, yes?
He wrote the Romans, the Time Meddler, and half of Dalek's Master Plan. There might be other ones in there I'm forgetting. Reign of Terror? Did you write Reign of Terror? I think you did write Reign of Terror. Also, Sidney Newman had a big say in what the character is going to be, because as we alluded to, Patrick Troughton says, "Oh, how would I, as the way it was back then, black up and be like an Arabian captain with a turban and stuff?" Good God, did we avoid so many bullets by him not doing that? And Sidney Newman says, "What are you doing here?" I'm talking like Sidney Newman was an American, as if he was pop. Hey, what's going on here? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I'm from Canada. I'm from Toronto. Don't you hear?
Now he's Mario.
Why is he a foreman?
I don't know what he's doing.
Foreman on a construction site.
Pop.
It's a 3/4-inch wrench. I don't know nothing.
He took Innes Lloyd a long walk around BBC Television Centre, I think it was, and then just sort of said, "Make him a cosmic hobo." The cosmic hobo thing comes from Sidney Newman, which he's often been described as. So Whittaker writes a fantastic Dalek story, and Dennis Spooner, I think, is responsible for a lot of the, and with Patrick Troughton, because he sort of talked it over with Trout and what he wanted to do with the character. And what's fascinating, of course, is that they're in the midst of finishing off the 10th planet at this point. They give Dennis Spooner an extra week to write, so they delayed the recording of this by a week, because Dennis Spooner had to do all these rewrites for it. And so at this point, they're only 2 weeks ahead of broadcast, up crazy. Until, when was it now? They lost another week before the moon base went out, because episode 4, the moon base, had those audio problems on episode 4 where you could hear the talk back from the PA on the actual audio track, so they had to edit that out. They couldn't reshoot the episode as they might have done a couple times in the Hartnell years because they were literally airing it next week. It did that. It went out as that. Like, they were 1 week ahead of broadcast up until the end of Evil of the Daleks. It's just fascinating.
And yet for Spearhead, there was the bit where there's the mix with the diamond logo, like the opening credits stuff. That was never corrected. The standard per opening titles. There's a bit where there was on like the actual broadcast like episode video.
Oh, is it really?
I want to say it's episode 3, but I could be wrong. Let's see what I can find.
Not the diamond logo. Not the diamond.
No, not like the Tom Baker one. No, but like it's still diamond-ish. The
I see.
Pervy opening titles,
like a burn-in or something like that.
Yeah.
That is tough to say. Lesterson listen. It's tough to do. Here we go. Good job, Annika Wills. That is tough. Can't do it.
She's an actor. She can do that.
That's true. She is. Or to every access. Haha. Clever doctor. It's not a micropen. Did he really have a magnifying glass, I wonder? Like, he's already clever doc.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's he's that, but he's also already very Troughton in the sense of, you think of other stories like Tomb comes to mind, for example, where he opens the tomb for them, and then for Viner. Was it Viner? I think so. Anyway.
Not Viner. No.
Not Viner. Anyway, opens the lid to the tomb in Tomb, and then
Klieg. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Eric Klieg. And I'm trying to think of other examples that I'm sure are out there, but that's what he does here. He opens the Dalek ship for them because Lesterson didn't have a clue. He had a theory, just not a clue.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to take the credit, but he is curious. Obviously. I like that line. Up or down, I don't care what. Shut him up or shut him down.
tell they're scientists, they have pipettes and such. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And I love that. Like, they have no reason to, like, wonder. Oh, why would they be evil? They're just like these little pepper pots. They carry tea for us. Only the Doctor knows about the Daleks, because even Ben and Polly have never met him.
No.
The only companions to not do so by this point. I think. So Dodo never met him, actually. Never mind.
Nope. Even Katarina did.
Even Katarina did. Katarina, who's the first thing she shot was her death scene, because they shot it first at Ealing. By the way, just to give you an indication of how your character's going to go, we're filming your death scene. Welcome to Doctor Who. That there is an image that him pushing the Dalek out exists on 8mm home movies. There's a bunch of home movie clips. And what's fascinating about the movie clips is that I think someone had turned, they had come from Australia. But a lot of them are like of really important moments. Like the fact that this person knew when it was coming on. A lot of people have wondered, like, is this a repeat? Is he watching a repeat because he knew it when these things were coming? But
what's fascinating about the movie clips is a great sentence in and of itself.
I know, 8mm movie clips. It's like Zapruder film. Those things are. It's like,
wow, she didn't even chew that banana. And then she did.
I'm staying away from whatever comment you're thinking
Chris,
making.
your comments make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What? She took a chunk of banana and never chewed.
Let's just walk away.
Doctor Who doesn't have to wear the colony outfit.
Well, he's Doctor Who.
That's true. It was scripted, by the way, that he would wear his new clothes. It wasn't like we should maybe try to get the clothes back from Hartnell. He took them with him. No. It was scripted for him to regenerate with his new outfit already on. Weirdly. Me old China.
Well, I guess technically when...
Reference acknowledged. Marco Polo.
When Troughton regenerated into Pertwee, obviously we don't see it, but he falls out of the TARDIS wearing the second Doctor's outfit, which somehow fits him despite being significantly taller.
Yeah, no kidding. He's like about a foot taller.
It's like Capaldi's like close to 6 feet tall. Jodie Whittaker is not, but hey, look at that. The outfit fits her.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, who cares?
Oh, it's a bug.
How do you get a bug inside a orange?
It's inside a fruit. Oh, I know.
Just ask any grocery store. Yeah. I'm sure they could tell you.
Garen.
Oh, you mean an electronic bug? Okay.
Yeah. Gosh, that's clever. Take that.
I expect this to be like Naked Lunch. He's just going to sniff it. Good old bug powder.
Snort it, get high, roll around the floor for a little while.
Exterminate all rational thought. It is. Canadian. You have to be in the right mood for it. Yes, it's very Canadian. It's by David Cronenberg, our filmmaker emeritus. But it's it's like Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. You walk in the right mood and it's just delightfully absurd. But you don't, and you're not going to like it. Or as a friend of mine said, they made that movie Naked Lunch for you and me and David Cronenberg and probably nobody else. I mean, yeah, that sounds about right.
David Cronenberg makes movies for only one person. David Cronenberg. That's me.
Now, Stephen, and somebody, I'm going to say this in the hopes that somebody else recognizes this name, but she was on the original Degrassi. But at one point, this woman, Monique Mercure, shows up, and she was in
I wish.
You know who I'm talking about, on Movie Max.
I wish I could help you out with that.
Bad old Quebecois softcore films, and she was like a star of them in the early 70s. And then she showed up on Degrassi. And then she showed up in this movie. And so I think I was the only person in the theater ever to go, hey, it's Monique Mercure. So I'm hoping somebody out there remembers Monique Mercure, who may or may not be dead. I think she's
She doesn't even get recognized in her own parents' house.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, Warren. I couldn't help you out there.
She died. 2020. Just a month ago.
Oh, it's sad.
Oh, wow.
As we record this, yeah.
From the COVIDs?
She was 83 or 84. I'm pretty sure it was the COVID.
Fair enough.
What a great time.
Yeah, other than The Fly, I'm not a Cronenberg guy.
It depends. Map of the Stars is good, and what's the other one?
Haven't seen
Dead
it.
Ringers isn't bad. The Fly is great.
Fly's great. Existence was him.
Dead Ringers.
I was
one
not a
those,
fan of
wasn't it?
Existence.
Existence.
Dead
I
Ringers.
don't like. Dead Ringers. I like Jeremy Irons in that one. Yeah.
Existence is by a video game movie by a guy who's never played a video game in his life.
And then there's, I can't remember the title of it. I got like free passes to an advanced screening of it a few years ago when it came out. Some shock horror film directed by his son.
Really? Oh, that's right. Yeah. I don't remember which one it is, but yeah, I've heard tell of it. I saw the name and I'm like, it's got to be Cronenberg's son.
Just not good.
He's written a novel too, I believe. David Cronenberg. I couldn't tell you what it's called, but.
Oh, he's got his hat on again. Do you really have the hat on? I suppose. There
we go. Antiviral by Brandon Cronenberg.
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking of. It's a hard watch.
Well, if you've ever seen Cronenberg's original university films, they're very experimental. Let's just put it that way. From the '60s, they're interesting, but they're very experimental.
One of my favorite pieces of trivia ever was because he didn't go to college when he was young. He did it later in life. When Steven Spielberg went to college, he submitted Schindler's List as his as his degree thesis.
Yeah, he actually went to this is going to mean nothing except people in Edmonton. He went to basically the equivalent of NATE in LA.
A technical institute. Basically.
Yeah, and he snuck on the lot, and this is probably some of this is hagiography, but he snuck on the lot at Universal and just people got to know him, and so he ended up directing Night Gallery. So he's like this 20-year-old kid directing Joan Crawford.
I think that might be true. I seem to remember that being told that, like doing a tour of Universal Studios.
There's a Dalek on screen, by the way. I just want to point out, like, we haven't actually seen a proper Dalek do Dalek-y things, and we're like more than
we still haven't. This is animated. It's not canon.
And episode and a half into this, which is so great because basically we see how the colony is working right now and how there are tensions within the colony, and then the Daleks are sort of brought into it.
Oh! Look at that iris! Oh,
yeah,
slow mo.
They got rid of that. I don't know if I have to ask the Dalek 6388 people, the Terra Nation Army folks. I can't remember what the history of the dilating Dalek iris, which is the first story, but I think they didn't use them in the next two stories because they were complicated. And I don't know if they were actually in this. They probably were actually because there's another clip of a Dalek talking to camera, as Daleks are wont to do, and you can see his eye.
Daleks exterminate the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm. They do.
This short, steady arm is for. Well, sir.
I'm sure this is for whisking. This is for plunging. I mean, clearly, why would you think this is a dangerous alien creature? Clearly here to fix the plumbing and beat an egg.
At the same time,
yeah,
who doesn't want that?
As long as they're relatively in front of him. He doesn't actually have a lot of motion here, but.
There are a million Doctor Who villains, secondary characters who look just like this guy.
Oof. I try to remember where
the
actor.
He's passed, of course, but in a movie version of this, Pete Postlethwaite could play him.
Totally, yeah.
The actor himself appeared in something else, and I can't remember what it is now.
For Lester
Doctor Who. Yeah.
This animation really lends itself to Dalek creepiness, I have to say.
It does. That's the thing about Daleks, too, is that they're relatively easy to animate because you can make a move.
But looking at him go smoothly, like, just kind of adds to it, because even, like, it wouldn't look, this is going to sound dumb, but it wouldn't look realistic if they were smooth moving on film, because we're so used to them not looking like that.
Uh-huh.
But here, it totally works, because you're suspending your disbelief, and it makes it creepier.
It's so creepy. Like, the first thing he does when he wakes up is he wants to kill someone. You know? I mean, oftentimes the first thing when I wake up. Yeah, I mean, that's typical Tuesday morning for me. But
for the guy who
this is my bathtub. I'm going to murder somebody.
For the guy who played Lesterson, he's got actually a fairly lengthy list of credits, but I see he was in Mask of Mandragora.
He played, what's his name, with the big frizzy hair, right? He was the leader of the cult. Yeah.
The High Priest.
He was
also in the way back for Blake 7 too.
I want to see that prop right there behind him. That is an accurate prop to the actual prop, or the bit of setting that exists. But if you look at it very closely, they use that little sort of like the diamond area, that shape, that little box, as the head of Stike's or Steyer's robot rather in the Sontaran experiment. Yeah. I remember seeing that in a photo. They go, what the hell? So that's like almost 10 years after this, and they still had that thing kicking around in the props department.
Where do the pipes go at the bottom of it? Like they just go nowhere.
Well, where do the pipes go in your building? I'm just saying. Have you ever looked? Don't look. You might bring the building down on top of you. But
they go into space. Duh.
Yes, space. Those are like one of those like air organs, you know. You just sort of remember playing at one of those at like the Edmonton Space Science Center or something many moons ago, when it was known as such. Before corporate name, there's lava lamps in there. I think there were actually lava lamps in the original one too. Lava lamps and everything. Wheel in Space, I think, got lava lamps in the Cyber Control, I think. Sure, why not? Looks spacey and funky. Let's do it.
It worked for the prisoner. Why the hell not?
Kind of did, didn't it? Didn't actually have the lamp, though. You can see the lava bit.
No, that's what's cool about it. It's like this weird background nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Breaking this corrupt colony. Janley is a good character in this because she's evil and she's manipulative. See, she wants to bring this thing to life as well, for her own reasons, because she sees it as a way to.
Well, as a plumber egg whisker empire.
Yeah. I hate this guy, says the Dalek. I hate this guy. Look at him.
Look at that hair.
Yeah, like, why him? Why him? I suppose because he's nearby. Why else
hair.
would a Dalek kill anyone? Proximity. Ooh, camera. iPhone 11.
That's a proper camera.
Wow, look at that. That's what happens. You could kind of tell that's going to happen. And then it just like, he finally does it. He didn't say exterminate.
They go to the pains of having the little flippy, whatever the hell there are, things coming out of the gun.
Yeah. And like, so she's totally covering up.
The ones that usually make the noise if you like stick your, same noise as if you stick your tongue out of your mouth.
Yeah. You hear it in Death to the Daleks, of course, because there's no sound effects, because there's no power in their guns.
But the lights on the dome work.
The lights in the domes work and they can move around, but our guns don't work. So the power supply only knocks out. I suppose it's a different breaker. Let's put it that way. Let's try and retcon Death to the Daleks away.
Yeah, even still far and away my favorite Pertwee Dalek
I know
story.
It is, but plenty of problems.
You can't look too closely at it.
That's got to be an homage to Citizen Kane there, that shot. Zooming out from the window.
Pretty sure it could be any number of films, not just
Maybe.
Citizen Kane.
It's probably an homage to an episode of The Simpsons, which is an homage to Citizen Kane.
That's true, actually, yeah.
There are many of those, yes.
That's basically all season 5 is.
See, this is why series 5, Matt Smith, is a lot like Troughton, because he sort of watched Tomb of the Cybermen and sort of got it, but because you can have Rory and Amy talk to themselves about things, possibly about the Doctor, and then the Doctor can sit in the background being mysterious. And it's only when Clara comes in, or when it's just Amy, where the Doctor's sort of like, hey, I'm now front and center doing speeches, and like Troughton, he always gets to be in the background doing whatever. That's what I like about him, when he's silent.
Because he's thinking and planning and stuff.
Yeah. See, it would have been interesting if McCoy had two companions too, and then Ace and whoever. Well, I suppose Ace had a companion anyway, but
no, because
she always had a friend.
You had Shaw Young. You had
what's her name from Happiness Patrol?
Yeah,
she always had a lady friend. I mean, there's no subtext whatsoever. No, they're just friends. They're just friends. That's all they are.
Oh, Mike was kind of her companion.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And Soren, perhaps.
Every time they come out with a new I can't remember the name of them, but they take the people from Remembrance of the Daleks, and they've made a whole Big Finish series about them. The name of which escapes me.
Yep.
Thank you, Countermeasures. Yep. Every time I see a new Countermeasures, I have to remind myself of that's where it's from, because it just sounds like an actual show. It doesn't sound like anything from Doctor Who.
Spin-off. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it just doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it should be a show that happened in 1972.
Yeah.
And Pamela Salem is kind of lucky in the sense that she gets to do that as well as all the Robots of Death spin-off stuff is like Caldor City.
I'm sure she's like, lucky or a paycheck.
Paycheck? Isn't a paycheck lucky? I'd say it's a good thing.
For an actress.
This guy looks like he runs a garage.
Cliff Clavin?
Who, Mr. Chin?
Clavin, yeah, Mr. Chin.
Chin Clavin?
Yeah, we need some more spark plugs there.
Ooh, Cliff Clavechin. There we go.
The Empire Strikes Back was only 14 years after this. And he only shot his bits in that probably 1978, so only 12 years after this.
And he's in Superman, the Cola in the movie, as a missile operator.
Is he really? Didn't know that.
Yep, he sure is. He's one of the two guys who were shooting missiles when, what's his name? Gene Hackman's going, heck of a day, isn't it? Glorious line in a film full of them.
Now, this is what I adore. It's so chilling because, so up until now, we've had Paulie saying, well, he's probably the Doctor, and Ben going, you're not the Doctor, I hate you, you're dumb. Just get off that stupid recorder. The first person to properly recognize the Doctor as the Doctor is a Dalek. I just find that fascinating.
This seems a little touch and go because in later ones I don't.
Independent third-party verification?
Yeah. And like he's terrified. And like the only two people, for lack of a better term, in the room right now who know who each other are the Doctor and the Dalek.
So Time Lords always recognize each other. So this Dalek is actually a Time Lord, and I'm going to say it's Missy.
No, it's Clara, obviously.
There you go.
Sure.
And he's having to, like, Terry Nation, in my opinion, it sort of changed a little bit in Master Plan, I think. But, for the most part, there's not the depth to their characters, for lack of a better term. Now we get Daleks' scheming. The modern series Daleks are very much based on the Daleks that we see. And because once Davros comes along, they're kind of neutered in a way.
Well, except they neutered Davros too. So
yeah, they sort of neuter each other, I guess.
I mean, I would want to say there's some scheming elements in even Daleks Invasion of Earth, but not to the same degree.
You know where they scheme? In Daleks in Manhattan. Nobody asked for that.
Yeah, I think basically every Dalek does it right. Dalek's the one perfect modern Who episode. Well done, Rob Shearman. It's because every other one sort of like, let's just try and mimic how we did it in Power of the Daleks because they were great in that. And they could be scheming.
The thing about Victory of the Daleks is the new Paradigm Daleks don't look great, but if they just taken them down like a touch, they would have been all right. Like different color Daleks, that would have been kind of cool. Like just not the giant bumper car ones.
Yeah. That was a great mistake.
It was a mistake, but they could have, it didn't have to be that much of one, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like I appreciate the redesign to like meet Matt Smith's eyeline as a much taller Doctor than those that came before. Well, not the Tennant was short, but or is short, but yeah, just the multi.
And they're not great. Don't get me wrong; they look kind of silly, but making a new Dalek wasn't such a bad idea.
They got the badonkadonk. So I mean that
they do have
the shape, the shape of it, the shape of things,
the silhouette,
the shape of Donk. That classic novel, coming of age.
Yeah. There were lots wrong with those.
There were a lot wrong with those.
Well, and the thing is, it stands out in a story that's terrible to begin with. So,
yes. Thank you, Andrew Gunn.
Maybe we'll discuss Victory of the Daleks on our next episode of the Old Radio Free Skaro podcast to avoid talking about Power of the Daleks, it seems. But hey, it's a Radio Free Skaro commentary. How often do we actually talk rigidly about the topic at hand? The answer, my friends, is not at all, or very little anyway. Sometimes,
but it's not blowing in the wind.
It's not blowing in the wind. No, it's not. But well done, Charles Norton, for producing and directing. animated things, so many people will enjoy it later on. All right, well, that wraps up this here podcast, but next week we'll be back with episodes 3 and 4 of The Power of the Daleks. So please, won't you join us for that? Thank you very much. Okay. Until then, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.